And I just had an intuition to look up, like something's watching me. And I looked up, and there's a bear 30 feet away, standing on its hind legs, looking at me with a little cub under her feet. I said, I can only feel love. And I was like, oh, I felt my own heart, and I felt it expand and
Oh,
and just be connected to the like as if the air was all vibrating with love. And I just extended that and felt, and I thought to myself, you are so beautiful. She was, the little sun dappling on her hair, which I remind myself of as a soul statement sometimes, is when I trust love, I can handle whatever happens.
we all want deeper, meaningful relationships. But most of us were never taught how to truly communicate. In this episode, we explore the small shifts we can make to create connections that feel honest, grounded, and lasting. My guest, Corey Lyon Folsom, is a love and relationship coach, wilderness guide, and author of Soul Statements, a love coach's guide to successful communication. We talk about the subtle but powerful shift that happens when we stop trying to be the most important person in the room and start showing up with presence and curiosity instead. Corey's journey began with a profound spiritual awakening that led him into years of deep personal work. What he brings to the table today is not just theory, it's lived experience. This is a conversation about love in his purest form. If you're ready to relate differently, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to Good is What Makes You Feel Well, Mama Terra's podcast. Each week, we will explore topics that impact your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health through inspiring transformation stories. Here, you will find practical guidance and actionable strategies to apply in your daily life. I'm your host, Ana Rezende, author, health coach, and speaker. I'm here to help you protect your energy, strengthen your well-being, and thrive through life's transitions. Speaking of life transitions, I would love for you to go to Amazon and check my book, Living Your Best Life in College, which I wrote as a guide for young adults transitioning from high school to college. If you are a student, a parent, a teacher, or someone who cares about well-being, this book might be a game changer. Now, let's dive in and discover all the different ways you can feel well. Vista transcende, levita. Hey, good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Anna.
Welcome to Good is What Makes You Feel Well.
Oh, thank you.
So for us to start our conversation, I would like to ask you what in this moment of your life makes you feel well?
Purpose and contribution.
Yeah, I love that answer. Yeah, purpose and contribution. Yeah, purpose is so important, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. So now you do recognize that purpose and contribution makes you feel really well. But how this concept of feeling well has evolved throughout your life?
Well, I think that desire for purpose and contribution is closely associated with connection for all of us. And so I think it's a universal human need, whether recognized or not. And I think when I was young, I found connection with my family and with nature. I was the young person who would get up early so I could spend a half hour out in the meadows and forest behind my house before school so I could hear the birds waking up.
Wow.
And then when I was 11, I started working for my father. He had a wood shop next to our house. So when I wasn't working in the shop or having dinner, I was out in the woods. And so I really felt connected. Like the animals were my friends and the different trees, they were my friends. So, but I've always had really, or for the most part, jobs that involved serving others, whether as a wilderness guide, a counselor, coach, inspector. And so, that provided that sense that I'm contributing, I'm helping other people, I'm making someone else's life better, I'm feeling used in a useful way. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so lovely that you had that connection with nature when you were a kid. Because I always say that this is what we are now missing, and people feel we are all separated while we know that we are just one because we are all part of nature, right? So
yeah,
we are not separate.
yeah, and I guess that's speaks to why when I'm on the highway driving and I see someone acting very dangerously with their car, cutting other people off, maybe cutting me off, it just disappoints me because I'm like, don't they realize that everyone's important, just as important as they are?
Yeah, this sense of wholeness is what I think it's missing for humanity. The idea of I'm in my car, in my lane, I have the right is different from we are all in this together, right? So we need to move forward together. There
Mhm.
is no boundaries, there is no them and us. We are just one humanity.
Mhm. One of my favorite bumper stickers spoke to that, and it just said, "Another version of you."
Mhm. Exactly. And I love what you said about being out in the woods and the animals being your friends and the trees being your friends. And that is the feeling,
Hmm.
right? That is the feeling that we are all part of the same family. We are
Yeah,
all together
yeah.
and we should live in harmony, right?
Indeed, indeed. And
Yeah.
I was recently in Scotland, and I grew up in Maine, and Maine's right next to Nova Scotia,
Mm-hmm.
New Scotland in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking around the forest and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a beech tree. I haven't seen a beech tree in decades. And it felt so good. Like, oh, there you are standing strong. And my goodness, bracken ferns and birch and all these familiar plants. It just reminded me so much of, what I remember as home.
Yeah, I haven't been to Maine, but that is on my bucket list. It's so awesome to be close to nature, to witness the richness and the abundance of the species and everything, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Tennessee's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to have mountains are around and beautiful, beautiful parks. And yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
it feels good. I have a backyard that I absolutely love with lots of birds, lots of trees, and a beautiful meadow too. So, but I know that not everybody has access to this. So I'm sorry for them, really.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you grew up in Maine and you had this very beautiful connection with nature in the beginning. Were you able to carry this to your adult life or if you are enjoying this episode but don't yet understand the multidimensionality of health, I created a free ebook to help you. It's a simple yet insightful few-page book you can read in less than 10 minutes. The ebook link is in the show notes. Now, back to the episode.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny too, looking back, thinking back, that most of the time my parents had zero idea where I was.
Hmm.
They're just like, go outside. That was, just go outside and play. Well, to me, go outside and play meant I might walk 2 or 3 miles that way and just see what's around and follow this stream. And I used to actually get in the streams and then walk the water because it was
A way to
a
go
lot of
back.
times less brushy and just easier to get through, and just, it was a different perspective. So
And you never got lost.
that's right. I follow the stream back. And so when I first moved out of the house after a short, winter in South Florida, I moved to rural northwestern New Jersey, and it's an amazing place that people usually don't associate with New Jersey. There's the Pittakini Mountains, the Delaware Water Gap, Musconetcong River, and it was just a rural, natural place. And I would bicycle around, and I would drag my bicycle into the woods and just, camp in a little secret little spot and just be there,
Wow.
and yeah. And so I was very fortunate to stay 3 years where I had just woods and fields, and I would, be following deer trails, and I'd be thinking, I wonder how long this trail has been here. Probably since these woods have been here, probably maybe even since this hill has been here. Why not just take the same track? So, I mean, I just thought about those things, and I got to observe a lot of animals just in their natural lives, and I was surrounded with other people that had the same sensibility, which was amazing. And so, and two people I met from that time are still my closest friends today that I talk to almost weekly. And so then I moved out to California, up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. I was a carpenter working 6 days a week, but it was still great. And ever since then, I've lived out west in New Mexico and Idaho and Colorado and Montana. So that's where I was. And as a wilderness guide, I spent almost 10 years working 210 days a year out in the wilderness. So that was the big immersion.
Okay.
And I really gained a respect for the unexpected. So, and for topography and weather and darkness and storms and just things you wouldn't expect are going to happen. And I also learned that if we pull together as a group, we can pretty much handle anything, because maybe some person is a really weak hiker. And so we're kind of pausing and waiting for this person, and that's okay. But maybe when there's some crisis of another sort, maybe they're the one that comes up with the idea, the way through. Hey, let's try this, and like their skills shine then. And so you just don't know. I mean, people's skills come out in just different scenarios. So I got to really learn that lesson.
That is so incredible. And tell me, from observing the animals, like I said, you did on this wildness, and probably the whole time that you did this job, what have you learned from them?
I would say they have memory and learnings, but they really occupy present time. And, if they're hungry or thirsty, they don't rush. That's not a good enough reason to rush, because rushing could get you hurt or worse. And, they'll take their time, and they'll look, and they'll think about where they're going to go or where they're going to step. And their senses are aware, their smell, their hearing, and they're just, this is where I am. I think they're just in this kind of field of nowness, and they're very present.
Isn't that awesome that they are so in the present moment with that huge awareness?
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable how we, being animals like them, we just lost this ability to be in the present moment, right?
I don't know if we lost it as much as we don't access it. We
Yes.
don't
Yeah,
choose it.
better saying.
It's not our default habit anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. And why do you think that?
I think that there's less danger, and then it's kind of been built out of our if you're walking through the Tetons in Wyoming, I mean, there's grizzly bears. I've seen them, or I saw one, and he wasn't that far away. And luckily I saw him before he saw me. But knowing there was the possibility of grizzly bears, yes, I was looking at these plants, these medicinal plants that I was thinking about picking, and the trail, and I'm listening to the sounds around me. And I'm aware that there could be a bear any place. And so I'm just occupying the spot I'm in and thinking about it's better not to think about something in the future or something in the past, but be really aware. And and I not that I haven't made mistakes. I was one time I was about 30-ish some days, 36 days in the wilderness, and I was for my job, and I had to do a lot of hiking. I was trying to find routes through this convoluted country for this other group that was unfamiliar. As a company, we had never been in this area before, so I always had to find these routes because we had an instructor who was really great with everything else except for route finding. So here, and all this up and down and no trails, and then one day I came across an old road that had grown up with some trees growing up through it. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. It was level. They just wound around through the forest. And I was like, great. And so I didn't have to watch where I was going anymore. And it just felt like such a relief. So what did I do? I started thinking about other things, and I was looking down. It was like almost like I was watching my shoelaces to make sure they didn't come untied. Do. I was deep in thought. I came around this little, and it was quiet because it's just pine needles. I came around this little bend, and I just had an intuition to look up, like something's watching me. And I looked up, and there's a bear 30 feet away, standing on its hind legs, looking at me with a little cub under her feet. I was like, oh, hello. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
What an
And,
encounter.
and talk about getting you back into present time right now. And I knew in this, like, there's this like nanosecond processing, like if I run, she'll chase me and hurt
Mm-hmm.
me. If I try to bluff or be aggressive, like pretend, she'll take the challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And so in that same nanosecond of those two thoughts, I said, I can only feel love. And I was like, oh, I felt my own heart, and I felt it expand and
Oh,
just be connected to the like as if the air was all vibrating with love. And I just extended that and felt, and I thought to myself, you are so beautiful. She was, the little sun dappling on her hair, and she just had this quizzical look, like this not what I
just
expected kind of thing. And then yeah, after what probably it felt like 3 minutes, it was probably 30 seconds. She looked at her cub who ran up the hill, and she looked back at me and decided to walk up after her cub. And I thought, I'm going to walk the other direction and just sit down, give her the space, little family.
yeah.
So,
And that is how it's supposed to be,
yes.
right?
And so another message I got from that later and thinking about it, which I remind myself of as a soul statement sometimes, is when I trust love, I can handle whatever happens.
Yeah. Because love is the answer for everything, right?
Yeah.
So why fear? Because the one reason that causes all the problems is the fear, because we fear the bears. Of course, they are huge, but they are just like us.
That's right. Yeah.
They
She was
just
a
want,
mother.
yeah, they just want love and respect. And that's all.
Mhm.
If we
Yeah.
respect them, they will respect us back.
Hmm.
And it's so beautiful the way you explained that your
Uh,
heart just opened and expanded to embrace her
yeah.
in this love. So, so key.
Yeah. I think I mean, I'm super guilty of it as a young person, of this false belief that of scarcity
Mm-hmm.
and not enough. And
Mm-hmm.
that thinking there's not enough of this or that or the other thing, I think, at least for me, had its root in I'm not enough. Why doesn't my father or mother, I don't ever remember them saying I love you. And so I started working on chewing on that as a little child, thinking maybe it's because they don't love me. And then if I like try harder to be a good son and they still don't say it, and I'm like, maybe it's true. I got myself all worked up around that for several years. It's kind of silly. Instead of saying, hey, you guys love me, and they're like, oh yeah, of course we do. then of course later I realized, oh, my dad showed love to me
His
and my
way.
sister by going to work. Like I'm providing, I'm sacrificing, I'm working 6 days a week, I'm sacrificing my life for my family. And that's
Hmm.
how he showed love. Of course, I didn't figure that out as a 6 year old.
Yes, we don't. We don't. And I feel like you, because I think we are close in age, and our parents' generation, that's how far they knew,
Mhm.
right? They had to provide and take care,
Well,
and that was
yeah,
the way to be. They
indeed.
didn't know better.
Sure. Well, my father was born in 1929. And so he grew up with a father who had three part-time jobs to get through the depression.
Yeah.
And then my mom was born in 32. And so she, came of age during World War II with rationing and all this stuff. So, it was different.
Yeah, it
So
was
that's who
so
raised my
different.
parents. I mean,
Yes.
that's the parents at that time were raising my parents.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not easy for them neither. But it's just unfortunate that we only find that out at a later age after we
Well,
had gone through the questions and the doubting of their love and everything.
it's yes, and it's better than not finding it out.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, better late than never,
That's right.
always.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. And
yeah.
I think sometimes, and I can say this because I'm, subject to it too, in my earlier life is we also can be afraid or doubt our own power and how to use power to the good. And so, like, I was the biggest one for kind of shrinking myself.
Mm,
I was afraid of, oh, what if things really work out? Oh my gosh, that's terrifying in a way too. That means I have to show up and I can't have an excuse anymore. That loss of the excuse is oh, I wonder if I can really step into those big shoes I know I meant to fill. What if I fail at that? So it's not necessarily to the good, but these are just normal human things that at least I went through.
hmm. Yeah, I think most of us, right? So, how you incorporate all this knowledge, all those concepts of wholeness and self-worth and everything else in the work you do today as a coach?
Well, I think what immediately comes to mind, Anna, is I really don't have judgments. Like,
Hmm.
oh, that person's bad or that person's whatever. I just don't judge people like that because, you know, I was given grace and patience by people around me when I wasn't the best version of me. And it's like, oh, that was a very sweet and gracious space for me to occupy to, get through my process. And we all have a process to go through, and we all go through at our own speed, and we all start from a different place. And we're all children of spirit, of God, of life. And life didn't give up on me. I was allowed, the range of from self-centered jerk to whatever else. And so, who am I to second guess life and impose what I think on where they should or shouldn't be?
Hmm.
So yeah. And I know what it's like to make decisions based on fear. And I know where that got me. And I don't want
Hmm.
to go back there. And I have compassion for someone who's doing that.
Yeah. And that's it.
Mhm.
Non-judgmental approach to
Yeah,
everything and
right. And
curiosity, right?
indeed, indeed. At one time, my girlfriend offered a really fantastic perspective. I was driving, we were on the freeway, and this person came zipping past at gosh knows how many miles an hour, certainly a lot faster than the rest of the traffic. And they're acting like it's the Indy 500. And I was like, oh man. And she said, maybe this is the only time in their lives where they feel powerful.
Hmm.
I'm not justifying it, but maybe they just feel so powerless and except when they're behind the wheel of a car. And that's like they're just like, oh, finally. Anyway, still doesn't excuse it, but that could be a possibility.
Yeah, it's a perspective, right?
Mhm.
They might be late for something, be driving their spouses to the hospital to have a baby. We don't know. Everybody's going through something.
That's right. If we had a little chalkboard around our neck with a little brief thing about our story, no, we'd all be super kind to everyone because we're like, oh, I understand. I mean, oh, this person's acting like a dummy dog, but I can see how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if I had gone through that, I might not even act as well as they're doing. And I think about that too when I see people who are in wheelchairs and they're cheerful and they're making things happen and they're living the best life they can. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know if I could pull that off. I just might be, miserable and feel sorry for myself for I don't know how many years and maybe forever. I'd be just like, so I admire people who choose to look for the best day they can have.
I just love the word you used, choose,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a choice,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We always have the choice.
Yeah.
And
And
that I think it's the most important thing of all because people sometimes they feel trapped by the situation
mm-hmm.
and they think they don't have a choice, but we always have a choice.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the book Life of Pi?
No.
Well, I don't want to go way into it, but just briefly, there's a young man and he's in a life raft from a boat that sunk. And he's in the raft with like, I don't know, three or four different animals. And one of the animals is a tiger. And it's kind of a scary, touch and go thing. And they're in this ocean, just adrift. And for weeks, then kind of toward the end of the book, you discover it flips around and goes, they were really people, but they were
Mm.
represented by, a baboon and a tiger and a whatever. And so that's that. And so one of my favorite all-time children's books, which I think is for any age, is called Crow and Weasel by Barry
Mm.
Lopez. And in that, they're people, but they're represented. There's a badger and a crow and a weasel and all these different creatures, but they're
Uh-huh.
really people on a journey. And at the very end, it's winter time and they're long far from their people and I think one of their horses might have died and they're out of food and they're starving and they're to the point where they can't even they're just lying there in their little robes and they can't even lift their heads. They're so weak. And they're like, this is it. It's the end. And then along comes the grizzly bear. And the grizzly bear has some warm broth and spoons them some little broth and they get their strength back and he's giving them some food and they can sit up and he's brings them some stuff and he's like, okay, well, you have what you need. I'm going to go. And they're like, thank you so much. How can we ever repay you? And the grizzly bear looks at them and says, be kind.
Yeah.
So that's the choice.
Mm-hmm.
How kind can I be is a great
Mm-hmm.
question to ask,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, can I
Yeah.
be kind right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that will take me a lot farther when I remember to think that than if I don't.
Yeah. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful because it can change people's lives because we don't know that that person might not ever have been treated with kindness. So we
Mhm.
might be the first person ever to give them a smile, a hug,
Mhm.
or listen to them.
That's right. And then as the world turns, someday they may very likely be in a similar position to offer that to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
maybe thousands of times in little ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. That is the concept of that movie with the little boy and Helen Hunt. It's an old movie. Cannot remember the name, but the little boy that passes the good deed forward, and then the
Oh,
whole. Do you remember this movie?
uh-uh.
And then the whole neighborhood comes in his front yard with candles at the end to thank him to have started.
Nice.
Anyways, so yeah, tell me about your work then as a relationship coach.
Well, yes, I'm a love and relationship coach. And I was just actually thinking a minute ago how related to what we are just talking about, that one of the useful attitudes that I offer some people in a relationship is act as if you're not the most important person in the room. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but just act as if you're not. How about that? What might the other person be needing to hear? What kind of space, or ask them what they need and see if there's any way that you can help with some of it. And I think that, we just I get into trouble when, and I think back to the times I'm in a relationship now, 12 going on 13 years. And I think back to the times where I was a little snappy or terse or something. And inevitably, every time when I go back and think about it, I was thinking about me.
Mhm.
I was only thinking about me. I was thinking, oh, how inconvenient to me is what they're saying or asking. And it's like, oh, I just wanted to, relax for another 20 minutes. I didn't want to, be involved in changing the pillowcases or something. I'm like, why can't you do that yourself? And I'm like, you know, yeah. And so, I don't have the answers for necessarily other people. I have my experience that they might find some value from, often do. I look at, my attitude is they have their own genius about what's best for them and the best way to do things and the best way to think about things for them. But much of the time, they're not asking themselves the best questions. And so I help them ask better questions so that they can get better answers of themselves, and also communicate better. I do have a lot of pointers and tips and ways to communicate that are probably better than they have been communicating. And
Mhm.
one thing I love about communication, it's a learned skill, which means we can
Mhm.
learn it. We can
Absolutely.
get better at it with some pretty basic, simple changes that make a big difference.
Hmm.
These people that do workshops and influence, self-help and all this stuff. You hear a lot, what small thing can you do that has an outsized benefit?
Hmm.
And so that so applies to communication, just like acknowledging what the other person just said.
Hmm.
And the one thing I see that people get stuck on, they don't want to acknowledge, because then they feel like, oh, now I'm in agreement with that. No, you don't have to agree to
No.
just say, oh, I get this is upsetting for you.
Hmm.
You probably don't agree that they should be upset. That doesn't matter. The point is
Hmm.
they are upset. And you can say, okay, I understand that you're upset by this. All right, let's talk. Okay, maybe shut your mouth and don't say anything else for a little bit and see what maybe they would say, oh, thank you, or oh, I appreciate that, or maybe they just take a breath and go, oh, I can relax just a bit more.
Hmm.
And also, the more you increase your capacity to love yourself, to be patient with yourself, that has a direct relation to how much you are able to offer that to other people. If you're full of disconnection from your own value, your own values, then you're not going to be the greatest partner. And so I'm a big fan of doing more of whatever connects you to you. That might
Hmm.
be journaling, that might be meditating in front of a candle, it might be just breathing, it might be going for a beautiful walk, it might be a hard workout, it might be getting in the ocean or the lake. And so those are the experiences that will refill your own emotional well. And so if your emotional well is getting drier and drier, then you're not able to have the bandwidth or the cushion to handle someone else's upset or concern or stress. Or oftentimes what will happen is you'll push them away. Then you're in a bad cycle
Mm-hmm.
versus, doing what you need to do for you so you're in a good space. That's huge. And so
Yeah.
you're like, you know what? I can take a couple hours and work on cleaning the garage because I'm good,
Yeah.
versus like, oh, another thing. I can't, oh, it's another huge thing, you know, big difference.
Yes. Yeah, you touch on two main points of relationships. One is communication because it's often overlooked. We have a ton of assumptions and a ton of expectations, like blind expectations that the person should know what we want, how we feel, right? Without
Mm-hmm,
communicating. And that is such a big, huge trap that gets us in our minds.
mm-hmm.
How come he doesn't see? How
Right.
come he doesn't know? Right?
Right.
If we
Or,
haven't communicated,
or,
how?
or maybe you have, and you're like, I can't believe they left that door open again. I've told them so many times I like it shut. Want my bedroom door shut, whether we're inside, whether I just like it shut, for whatever reason. And it's
Yeah.
like, how many times do I have to say that? It's
Mhm.
like, well, you know, and the thing is, once you get connected to you in whatever way, then a good goal is to then, I like to say, once I found Corey, my work is to keep him,
Uh-huh.
to vibrate on my own frequency, to be
Yeah.
tuned to my own radio station.
Yeah.
And so it's an ongoing practice to just take care of yourself. And you're just, yes, it's selfish, but it's also soulfish. And
Mhm.
it's the more you have, the better you're able to be present for other people. And
Yeah.
another great attitude is that, my partner is not a draftee. She volunteered for this position.
Mm.
And so
Hmm.
just maybe I should remember that every once in a while. you know?
That is a shift in perspective. A great one.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And what you said about self-love just reminded me, my daughter just moved to college and I stayed there for a few days with her, getting her settled. And the moment I was leaving, I told her, your only job now is to take care of my daughter.
Hmm.
That is your major job, is to take care of yourself.
Hmm.
And that should be in everybody's head as a top priority.
Hmm.
Because as you
Hmm.
said, there is no way we can give energy, love, or anything else for somebody if we don't have it for ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the examples of that. I mean, first of all, what I thought was, how crazy is it that most of us never hear that, let alone from a parent? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear that from my parents.
No, me neither.
Although I did read a book when I was in high school called 5 Years to Freedom by Lieutenant Rowe, who was a prisoner of war in North Vietnam. And I don't know if he was captured with the other people, but there were two other POWs in this little jungle camp, two other Americans, and they both eventually died.
Mm.
And he thought about it long and hard. He's got a lot of time to think. And he's like, and he was doing stuff like eating charcoal from the fire to help with diarrhea and just all the beriberi and all this stuff, the jungle diseases. And he was thinking about what he could do. He's trying to do some push-ups so he didn't wither away. And the other ones just kind of were more despondent. And he realized that they didn't, in hindsight, they didn't take responsibility for their own well-being. And he thought one of the things that he really got from them is they really thought, oh, they won't let us die. And they were wrong. And
Mm.
so, but he took responsibility for his self-care. And I mean, that's an extreme example, but it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah.
absolutely is. We need to find ways to connect with ourselves, understand and know our values, our value, what we like, what we don't, have our boundaries and take care of our energy because that is what we have to give.
Absolutely. All that we're talking about is really the genesis, the real drive of me writing my book, because
Mm-hmm.
Soul Statements, a love guidance coach to successful communication, because I'm seeing such good results with people. And I'm also thinking it's a really small percentage of the world that's ever going to do coaching with me. So why don't I write a book that's like a little kind of coach in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
that you
Yeah.
can refer to, and just to get these concepts and these practices. I mean, almost every page has a little journal idea, prompt, or a meditation, or a soul statement example, or some other takeaway, handy
Mm-hmm.
little thing, or certainly a lot of concepts in there, like we've been speaking about. And so we can take responsibility for our own internal well-being, and just remember, I mean, pick your own soul statement. There is strength in my center. I have grit inside me. My body knows how to heal itself. I'm a loved
Mm.
child of God. I have a beautiful masculine heart. I have a beautiful feminine heart. So, and if we can remember in real time, oh, wait a minute, I'm a little bit more resourced than this unhelpful old thought that I've heard 10,000 times already is trying to tell me or remind me. And I'll actually give a little smirk or smile, and I'll say silently, "Oh yeah, I've heard myself think that before." And what's actually true is
Mm-hmm.
I am enough,
Oh,
or
yes.
whatever it may be.
Yes, yes. Because people get so attached, they think they are their thoughts.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the big realization is no, we are not.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
are the awareness behind the thought. So if we can witness a thought, then we can change it. We don't need to believe it. We don't need to give them power, right? We
Right,
can choose another way. So that
right.
awareness, yeah, yeah.
And and if, I mean, certainly I found myself in low points over my life, and when each of us, when we get to a low point, we can think, it's my thinking that got me here.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of that thinking might I jettison or reject? Well, what are better thoughts I could think? Just
Mm-hmm.
act as if I'm resourced. I mean, Tony Robbins said the most powerful resource we have is resourcefulness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the idea of the soul statements that you mentioned you have in your book, because those are the affirmations that we need to choose for ourselves,
Yes,
right?
indeed, and the thing about a soul statement is you're not tricking your brain to something you don't have, or something in the future that you're going to be. It's something that's already always true about you. It's always true that you are enough. It's always true that your body does know how to heal itself. It's always true that there is grit inside you. And so you're just and that's why, like, the emotion that comes with that is really the important piece. And so when you really get it, it's like your cells should vibrate. Yes, we agree. Or sometimes it feels like my bones get a little more solid. Like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can ground into that. That's my center
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is the absolute truth. But
Mhm.
we, for any reason, fail to believe that, right? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is, yeah, the power of the
And it's
affirmations.
yeah, it's funny because sometimes I'll even think to myself, that's unbelievable that I'm still thinking that thought.
Well,
The
me too. It happened
the
with all of us.
catastrophizing, And Tony Robbins again, he said, our brains aren't designed to make us happy. Our brains are designed to look for what's wrong, and
To
what's wrong
protect
is always
us, to keep us
available.
alive. Yeah, to keep
Yeah,
us
to keep us
alive.
alive. That's right. But what's right is always available. And that's actually the germ of my concept of soul statements. What's right is always available. So I'm thinking, well, what's right about me is always available too. And so why not align with that, you know, activate the law of resonance and feel the truth of it, the rightness of it. And then my next thought will be a better one. And my next action will be informed by that.
Yeah, I love it. That's the way to go. Love it, love it. So, Corey, is there anything else that you would like to mention that I did not ask?
Oh gosh, if I could distill all of what I've just said into one little sentence, it might be that you can call up the best part of you in a moment.
Hmm.
And also I heard something last year which also said it so well. And I don't know if it was Rudyard Kipling or I don't know where the quote comes from, but it was the hero and the coward initially feel the same thing.
Hmm.
What they do next is what defines them, what they do
Wow.
about it, in other words. So, we all feel scared, we all feel disconnected. And a soul statement is just another tool to be still and know. Be still and know. If we have time, I'll maybe just read a little paragraph.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Um, and so this is from
Oh,
page.
just
Oh, go ahead.
hold on, hold on.
Yes.
Let's do this. Let's finish with your reading. So prior to that, would you be kind to share with our listeners where they can find you, where they can buy your book,
Sure.
and your contacts and everything?
So I'm easy to find. Corey Lyon Folsom, all one word, on Instagram and Pinterest. I'm Corey F on Facebook, which I don't visit very often anymore. I just find Instagram way more fun. My website, corerelationship.com, has coaching info, my approach to things. There's a couple dozen articles I've written, and there's a page there to purchase or check out the book Soul Statements via bookshop.org or Amazon. And of course, you can always ask your local bookstore to order it. There it is.
It's so
And
pretty.
yeah,
I love,
thank
is that a
you.
sun
It
in the
is.
cover? Yeah,
It is.
I
Yeah.
love it.
It's funny because I had this whole design all worked up and I loved it so much. And then I couldn't figure out how to get it onto the publishing site. And so I ended up with it's funny because what I ended up with was actually way much better.
Yeah, I love that because it's blue sky
Yeah,
with the sun. It's
that's right.
perfect.
I've got it on the end too.
Yeah,
So,
beautiful, beautiful.
so this is called okay, well, I'll just read. Your most powerful soul statement can bring you to your own secure knowing place, which you return to in order to collect yourself. This place inside is where you may acknowledge distress and make it all right. A soul statement can let you access the strength of your character and allow this knowing to inform your next action or non action. A soul statement is a condensed message of knowingness from the deep you to the surface you. Your deep knowing is always available, but you have to intentionally tap into it. The world offers limitless distraction. You must intentionally choose to turn down the volume on the external world.
Wow, I love it. I
And,
love
and,
it.
and, and the paradox is that when we do that, we're more effective and powerful and present in the greater world.
Yes, because when we tune inside, we are present outside.
Mhm. And the world will come to us.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, wow. Thank you, Corey, so much. I will have all your info in the show notes, the link for your book, the link for your website and Instagram so people can find you easily. And yeah, let's cheer for them to find the soul statements and be kind.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and want to know more about me and my work, the easiest way is to sign up for my newsletter. Every week, I craft good wellness information, recipes, and book recommendations with love and care just for you. It is rich and free. Find the sign up link in the show notes. See you in the next episode. Until then, remember, good is what makes you feel well.
Vista transcende, levita.